is T. Levon Lawrence, and I'd like to welcome you to the second half of Part 4 in this informational brain training video series, Mental Concentration versus Mental Focus. In this second half of Part 4, I'll finish up our discussion on the nature of thought itself as a tool for use in developing dynamic mental focus, including involuntary versus voluntary thought, obtaining a unified mindset, and making your subconscious mind into an ally so that you don't have to work so hard for success. If you'll recall from the first half of Part 4, I spoke on the importance of becoming well familiar with the primary tool of the trade if you want to become excellent at dynamic mental focus. And the primary tool of the trade is thought. In addition to thought having a three-dimensional aspect, which we briefed you on in the first half, there are two other aspects you need to know about. One which enslaves you, while the other sets you free. Those two aspects are involuntary mechanical thought and voluntary creative thought. Involuntary or mechanical thought is any thought that arises in your mind without your consciously formulating it or calling it forth. And although it may seem strange to hear this now, most involuntary thought that you experience takes the form of internal conversations that you have with yourself all day long. As you gain conscious control over your attention and begin formulating your own native thoughts, the fact that your brain contains these mechanisms that produce mindless chatter all day long will become glaringly clear. In fact, attention control training has probably already begun to reveal it, and hopefully you've begun the process of putting a cognitive muzzle on that distracting mental chatter. Involuntary thought is indicated by uncontrolled and disobedient thought patterns. Mechanically circular self-talk and ideas that just go nowhere and solve nothing. Involuntary thought is at the root of your repeating the same patterns of mistakes over and over again. It tends to be distracting and noisy. Involuntary thought is entirely reactive. Even when it seems like you are proactively taking situations in hand, you are really only thinking and feeling and acting reactively. Involuntary thought is notoriously chaotic and erratic, constantly shifting its content and altering your psychological state. Remember, what you're thinking is what you're feeling. So when your thoughts shift from moment to moment, your feelings, your mindset shifts along with them. All too often, involuntary thought is negative, as well as self-conflicting and self-contradicting. 2. Involuntary thought is at the root of self-sabotage and character flaws. Voluntary or creative thought, on the other hand, is totally different. Voluntary thought is any individual thought that you forge or call forth after and only after you have gathered together the full force of your conscious attention to the here and now for the express purpose of thinking. It sounds like a strange concept, I realize, but no matter how intelligent you believe yourself to be, no matter how fascinating the thought you're entertaining, if you did not take the time to center your attention in the present prior to doing so, the thought is involuntary, no matter how it feels like it's not. Remember, the thought has a three-dimensional feel and can convince you of an entirely different reality than what actually is. Voluntary thought is controlled and obedient to your conscious command, and only then does it serve as a tool. Voluntary thought is uniquely and originally your own. It actually belongs to you and has not been conditioned into you. It is focused and relaxing, self-made and creatively innovative, organized and rational. The practice of voluntary thought promotes consistent mental content and reliable mental states. It tends toward a pleasant experience, inspiration, and stokes motivation, because it is aligned and congruent with your will. Through practice at voluntary attention, you boost cognitive control, clarity, and confidence. Most amazingly, you can profoundly reprogram your emotions, urges, and impulses through voluntary thought. The practice of voluntary thought unveils an incredible cognitive ability to consciously align your dominant thoughts to be congruent with what you want for your life. That is, who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have and experience. Of course, since thought affects your emotions and thus affects your urges and impulses, the more you consciously sculpt your thinking so that the majority of your thoughts all point in a single direction of progress, the more everything about yourself is unified so that you move in a straight line to your target. Your emotions, thoughts, impulses, how you perceive yourself in the world, plus your actions must all point in the same direction. If even one of these factors is out of alignment, the straight line to your target can become a weaving path that all too often leads completely away from course and simply gets lost. In your training, you want to do everything you can to take advantage of the power of your subconscious mind so that it becomes your ally and not your obstacle. When you engage in dynamic mental focus training, the actions you take automatically begin to reprogram your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the seat of habit, so by reconditioning new habits of operating your attention and thoughts, you are literally remaking yourself. By doing so, you actually make less conscious effort as you progress because your brain stops fighting to hold on to old conditioning. The process of allying with your subconscious is a matter of simply creating and then thinking the right thoughts clearly, repeatedly, and with endurance. In this way, your conscious mind serves as the captain of your life, issuing right orders to those mysterious, powerful portions of your brain that will carry you to your destination. Finally, let me highlight that if you have not trained yourself for effective attention control and mental concentration, you're going to have a tough go at building better mental focus. That's because mental focus requires you to deal simultaneously with 3 psychological time frames. You have to deal with your past conditioning that affects your current thoughts, feelings, urges, mental perspective, and actions. While that's happening, you have to work on forging new thoughts, emotional patterns, urges, and impulses to learn how to see yourself in a better light and act more congruently in the present. Plus, you work to sculpt a better, attractive future for yourself as you map out the path you wish to travel in life. That's 3 psychological time frames, and the only way you're going to manage it properly is to have masterful control over your attention and be able to concentrate on a daily basis. This masterful control over your attention, combined with increasing proficiency at creative thought control, ensures that what you decide stays with you and doesn't get swept away in the tides of life. So, training yourself for dynamic mental focus means working to truly know what you want. That means you'll have to fight mental laziness and concentrate your mind's resources to the details of what that is. You'll also train to think with clarity. You'll become great at applying mental concentration as a daily habit for the long term. You'll benefit in unique ways as you rewire your brain to boost your creative and strategic faculties. This concludes the second half of Part 4, The Phenomenon of Mental Focus. Next, in Part 5 of 7 of this series on mental concentration versus mental focus, we're going to talk about the problems that get in the way of mental concentration and mental focus. Hey, you can't master a thing unless you learn all you can about it, so make sure to check out Part 5. You can get yourself some priceless mental training advice and guidance by tuning in to our Blog Talk radio shows, the Mental Power Hour and Brain Training Minute. The Mental Power Hour is 60 to 90 minutes of awesome training advice, while your Brain Training Minute is a few minutes of insightful brain training knowledge and techniques that can make a major difference in your life. You'll find hours, and I mean hours, of awesome material. Feel free to tune in during any of the live broadcasts we announce and call in to discuss mental training topics.